Hi, my name's Bev Smith, and I am going to cook a recipe on my TM7, which can also be cooked on a TM6. It's Chinese style chicken. It's a bit of a favorite of ours, so I am going to get stuck into it. And while there's some cooking happening, I will show you a little bit around the TM7 so you can see what some of the what the fuss is all about, what the functions, the benefits of the TM7. So let's get started. So there's a couple ways you can bring your recipe to the screen. And I just remembered one of them is if you download cookiedoo.com.au onto your phone as an app. It is free. Well, you get actually 30-day free trial. So Cookiedoo is a recipe platform that's global, and we have access to the recipes of the languages that we speak. For me, that's English, and that's nearly 13,000 recipes that I can access on the screen of my TM7 or TM6. All right, so what this is a new function that says send the recipe to my TM7. So there's my TM7. Oops, sorry. Now I'm just going to press send it to my TM7. And let's see. It just brings the recipe up straight away. So this is a new capability of Cookiedoo. The version that we have is 3.0, and it's improving all the time. It's amazing. So I will just get started with the recipe since it's right there ready to go. So we'll go start. So I've got a couple things done already. So it's asking me to insert the simmer basket, which is this here. And I'm going to be then weighing in the rice and washing the rice. So I've done all of those steps. So it says to insert it into the bowl. So I take the lid off and it would be going inside the bowl. So I'll go next. So I've already done the rice. I've weighed it and I've removed it and I've rinsed it. So now I'm up to where I'm putting in a litre of water. So the scales are there ready for me to go. I've got my water. So I'm going to pour that into the bowl till I get to 1,000 grams, which is a litre. Slow down a bit because I'll show you what happens when you reach your target. Oh, 999, it's flashing. Let me do a little bit more. Okay, 1,000, a little bit over. You'll see the green line. It'll come across and it will tick itself off. So that one's done. Not everything will tick itself off, but if it's a liquid measure and you've reached the goal, yes, it will. So now a teaspoon of salt is what it's asking for. So that's about a teaspoon. And I always mill my salt. I buy rock salt and I mill it because there's no nasties in there at all. And by the way, I'll just show you my ingredients. I've got everything kind of prepped right there. Beautiful, healthy vegetables. I do have some chicken that's in the fridge and a few ingredients to make a beautiful sauce to go over the vegetables and chicken. All right, so tick off the salt and go next. So now I've got to insert the simmer basket with the rice that has been drained, washed and drained. So pop that in. And next step is to put the varoma. But before you put the varoma onto the lid, you put the lid on. So the lid just sits on top. This lines up with the handle. And the varoma is a large steamer that sits on top. So the varoma comes with the Thermomix. It's got a tray and a base. So we're going to put the base on without the cap because the steaming from that liquid cooking the rice is also going to come up in through this little hole in the lid, and it's going to come into the steamer that sits on top. You can see that there. And it's going to be cooking vegetables at the top. So we've put the Varoma on, and then it says next, and this is all guided cooking. Next, 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 and you just do what it says. So now it's adding some brown onion, which I've got there, and then carrot, red capsicum, carrot, capsicum, and broccoli. So all of these are pretty much going into here. So I'll just throw them all in. You can see those in there. Beautiful, very fresh and delicious. And then I'll just get the last lot in. So all of those are going to steam on top while the rice is cooking. So, but we do need to put the lid on. We're not actually using this tray at the moment. We will be a little bit later. We pop some snow peas in as well. So you can see I've got the lid on. So I'm going to tick them off, the onion, the carrot, the capsicum, the broccoli, and go next. Secure the lid, which I've just done. And now I'm going to steam, press that little go button, and it's 10 minutes. It's steaming. It's the steaming mode, and it's built into the recipe. And it is on speed 4. All of that is preset, so you don't have to set this, do that. It's all set for you. So you just press the button and it will start to steam, which is what it's doing right now. So while it's steaming, I just hope it's making a little bit of noise, but that's okay. What I might do is just explain a few things about the Thermomix 7. We do have a new spatula for this machine. It's great. It's long and it scrapes right around the inside of the bowl really easily. So it's a brand new design. And so that is a difference from the TM6. But however, you can still make this in the TM6 using the trusty, I've got a TM6 right there. Actually, we've got 2 7s and a 6. It's a very thermo-populated kitchen. All right, so that's your spatula. And you'll see a little bit later, that little hook, see the little hook there? That will hook onto the simmer basket that has the rice. And you can pull it out without touching anything that's hot. So that's what that little hook is for. Now, with the TM7, this sits in the, actually, I'll show you. I've got another bowl, so I'm going to get that and explain to you a little bit about the bowl. So this is a TM7 bowl. It's very different. It's black. It looks different because it's got an outer layer. So it has a cap, a bowl cap, it's called. That's all. It's not a measure cup. Previous model has this, but we now have this. It's designed differently, and it's a TM7 cap. We have the lid, which I showed you before, that comes off. We have a simmer basket, which we've got already cooking rice. And inside the bowl, you can see we've got a beautiful blade made of high-grade stainless steel. Now, the difference with the 2M7, is that this outer area comes separated. So it's got a little handle here that you push across, which now has released the blade. So there's none of this, getting it out that way anymore. You just push that little handle across and the blade is out. And then you can reach in and take out. This is the bowl where all the cooking and hard work happens in here. And this is a layer that, a few different reasons, it will keep it much quieter. Sometimes when you're cooking at a very low speed and you're just cooking soup, or it might be a curry or something you're cooking. You can't hear it. You can't hear any noise at all when it's at a low speed. When it's at a higher speed, it's still quieter than any previous Thermomix that I've ever had. All right, so this comes out easily. It can be washed in the dishwasher. It can be washed by hand. It's up to you. But then it goes back in after you've washed it. It's back in here. And then the blade goes back in. A little bit like a jigsaw. Make sure it's sitting flat. And then you push that across, and that bowl has been put back together. It's fabulous. Now, the simmer basket is a little bit different as well. So the simmer basket, it's used for steaming veggies, rice. We've got rice in there now. There's a whole lot of different reasons that this is used. Quinoa, there's a whole lot of things that you'd be steaming. Yeah, the recipes will tell you when to use this, when to put it in, why to put it in. But as I said before, it's got this little hook and there's a little hole here. So when it's in the bowl, you don't want to touch it because it's hot. You're going to use this little hook and you'll get used to the right angle and you pull it back and you lift it out like that. And if you say you've got some steamed potato and leek, and you've got this stock here that's steamed those vegetables, the recipe will tell you to, pop the veggies in, and the weight of the veggies will open the lid and in they go. So it's a very good solution for not touching anything hot. And yeah, it's just designed really well. Okay, so with the TM7, you'll notice there is a difference in the lid. The TM6 lid has that big hole. The TM7 lid doesn't. In fact, you can't. The TM6, you used to be able to pop that inside and stir around, but no, you can't do that anymore, and you don't need to. I was a bit concerned about that, but they've adjusted recipes and there's never any need to put anything inside to stir around anymore at all. There's also no need with the TM7 to pop that on top, which you do that quite often with the TM6. You don't need to use the simmer basket on top of the lid ever in any recipe, but you do need to use this cap. So the cap actually goes on and it will just turn slightly and it's set there in place. It doesn't mean that you can't still make emulsions like mayonnaise or, something that's, what else? Some of the sauces like hollandaise sauce and things like that. You can still pour oil, for example, mayonnaise, and it will seep in as the blade is turning around whatever it is that's the egg and maybe mustard, whatever it is with the oil drizzling in. You can still make emulsifying recipes. All right, so that's a little bit about the bowl. Now we've still got 2 minutes there of the rice. The rice will need more cooking, but that's all built into the recipe. I think the next step on the recipe is just to move those veggies around a little bit. So I'll just show you back to the screen. I'll bring you back over. And here's our screen. Okay, so you'll want to know what is the next step. You need to know that because you need to get things ready. So you need to just scroll up and it says stir the vegetables and insert the tray. I said before that we will actually need this tray. So we're going to use that shortly. And then we're putting the trimmed snow peas onto the tray. I love how recipes are, sorry for reaching over, the recipes are designed, triple tested in kitchens to give you the best result. Because if those snow peas went in too early, they'd be soggy and not great. So you know, after the first cooking of the rice and those veggies, the snow peas go in then. Okay, so secure it again, and then we're going to steam it for another 5 minutes. And then after that, we're going to set the veggies aside, remove the rice, and that's when we're going to start, you know, cooking the chicken and the sauce. So you can scroll and have a look, see what all the steps are. Then you can take that back. It says back to the current step, and it takes you back to exactly where you need to be, which is fabulous. Now, what else? So the TM7, it has a different look altogether. It hasn't got that big white housing. It's slender, and it's a whole new look. It's black. You can only get black. That's the on-off bar there. There's no dials. Everything's done on a large 10-inch screen. You can change the font. You can have a small font or the normal size or large. I chose large because I can see it better. I like to have larger font. Yeah, so everything happens on the screen. There's no dials to turn. You just follow the instructions. You navigate your screen whenever you get an opportunity. And we'll do that in a minute because this is about to finish. Okay, there's one little jingle at the moment. We may get more later. All right, so it says to stir the veggies and insert the tray. So I flip off the lid here and I'll just show you. You can see a bit of steam coming off the veggies. There they are. They're cooking, semi-cooked. So with my spatula here, I'm just going to stir them around a bit. The carrots and the broccoli still need more cooking. All of it does. But that's okay because it's got another 5 minutes of cooking time. So we'll stir them around. And then the next step says to add the Varoma tray, which is here. This is it. And it sits up here inside. See here? And it says then to add the snow peas. So I'm just popping those on top. I've trimmed them, I've washed them, trimmed them, topped and tailed them. And now I'm just putting them on top. I'll lift up and show you how that looks, like that. And we go to the next step. So I'll pop that tick in, and then you pop the lid back on up here. And next is another 5 minutes of steaming. So let's get that going. And within that time, the rice will be cooked because it's weighed. Everything is precise. You'll always get a good result with any recipe because they've been triple tested, they've been tried in Thermomix kitchens. You can be confident with a brand new recipe you've never tried before that the result will be perfect, which is great. It's good to be able to cook fresh at home, know what's in your food always. It's cooking from scratch, made easy. And you can try so many different recipes. You don't get bored. You don't get over it. I was over it before the Thermomix, raising 4 kids, cooking the same old. With the Thermomix, you can try different recipes and get really excited with how your family loves what you've cooked and you enjoy it as well. And you know that you're eating well. So anyone that knows me knows I've been around now for 12 years. I love everything to do with the Thermomix. It's just changed everything for me in the kitchen. And it has been doing for all that time. Before that, I was over it. I was a bit bored with cooking, did the same old all the time. Every now and then I'd try something different, but I love the confidence that this will give you when you're cooking great food for yourself, for your partner, for your family, your extended family. You just can't go wrong with it. It's amazing. All right, so enough of that talking. I'll just go back to the screen. I just want to show you that while this is still steaming for another 3 minutes or so, there's a little arrow up here on the left side. You can press that and it can take you out of the recipe, but the recipe is still there. Where is the recipe? If I touch that line up there, it's there. And there's also 3 functions at the top. That's called the open cooking area of your screen. There's a timer, there's the scales, and the dishwashing pre-wash area is up there as well. All right, but you can also go searching. You can go into search. You can search 13,003 recipes. You can look for what you're after. You can go into our cookbook area. They're called collections. But the collections are not filtered down to be just English. You need to do a manual filter when you go into collections. And I'll show you that in a short while. Modes and ingredients. You can open that and you can go into other areas of your Thermomix by doing that. You can look at categories. Categories tell you, am I looking for soups, pastas, main dishes, side dishes, sauces, breads, desserts, baby food. There's so many areas. Category. Time. Are you time poor? Do you want to find recipes that are going to be a specific time? And portions. Now let's go back there. Time and portions. Time and portions. We'll open those shortly. It might be because we're running out of time and this will be closing shortly, but probably not. I'm just working on those ones. All right, so we can also look here. That's the open book, and that will give you what you've cooked recently, what you've bookmarked, your recipe list. There's a whole new range of options there in recipe lists. So I've got all sorts of collections from previous cooking classes I've done, and my Chocoholics Anonymous list. There's a whole lot of lists in there. Now, collections, these are like cookbooks that I've saved. These are all in English, and I've got a whole bunch of them there. And then there's created recipes. Created recipes is recipes that I have programmed and put into my Thermomix. That cheesecake I've been making for many, many years. There's recipes down here. That apple cake, apple and cinnamon cake. I got that out of the Women's Weekly in 1984, and here it is on my Thermomix. All right, so the Thermomix is giving me a bit of a jingle right now to say the next step's ready. How do you get back to your recipe? You go up to Open Cooking. There it is, Chinese style chicken, select it, and now you're ready for the next step. So now it says to set the Varoma aside and place the vegetables into a bowl. We got to the stage now where we have cooked the rice and we've cooked the veggies. I'll take the lid off and I'll put this down so you can see we've got our snow peas. I'm going to just pour those into the rest of the veggies. And I'm going to put them all in here. This is called the thermoserver. Some of you may or may not have one of these. You can get thermoservers through Hosting. These are fabulous. They keep food hot or cold for 2 hours. So I'm going to pour our beautiful fresh veggies that are just cooked to perfection into the thermoserver. I should be using my spatula, though they do pretty much fall in easily. Put them in there. And then I'm going to put the lid on because we still need to do the chicken part of the dish. Put that aside. Put the thermoserver down, out of the way. There's hardly any dishes when you're using a Thermomix. It's just amazing. So next is remove the simmer basket with the aid of the spatula. I talked about that little hook earlier. So I'm going to make sure I've got it at the right angle. And it does take a bit of getting used to this hook. It's okay. It doesn't take long to get used to it, but as you can see now, I've hooked the rice and I'm going to pop it also into a thermoserver. I have another one, a round one. You may or may not be able to see that. Yep, that's better. Now, as I said before, when you tilt this, the lid will open. And maybe I didn't cook it that well, but that's okay. It's not that hot. The rice will fall into the thermoserver like that. And we have beautifully cooked, separated rice, steamed. You know, the Thermomix just is perfect for so many things, but rice is always exactly how you want it to be. Okay, so I've removed it. Now, the next step says to transfer into a bowl and cover. I've done that. Discard the liquid. Of course, we don't need that liquid now, so I'm just going to pour it down the sink. And now I don't need to wash it. I've pretty much just poured out the liquid. And now put the bowl back on, and it says to add olive oil. Now, I need to tear the scales on that occasion, but with the Thermomix 7, you don't need to do that because it allows for you taking off the lid when you're about to add more ingredients. So I've got my olive oil. You may or may not see what I'm doing there. I'm going to make sure I get to 20 because I like it to tick itself off. A bit obsessed with that now. If it gets to 19, it won't. You need to get to, oh, there, 20. And you'll see that green light go across. It's like a little reward that you've been successful in measuring it in. Now, it's 300 of chicken breast or thigh cut into thin strips, 5 millimeter. So I've done that already. 5 millimeter thickness. That's my chicken. Now I'm just going to pop that in the oil around the blade. So I'm sort of making it fairly even around the blade, not all in one clump. So it's about to cook this chicken at high heat. The Thermomix 6 and the Thermomix 7 will allow high heat. There it goes, ticking off. Another one. Got that right too, which is good. Okay, so the next step, let's see. Put next, and it says 5 minutes, 160 degrees, intense heat. Now, that's great. It'll do that because it's all preset to do it. All I need to do is put the lid on, which I've just done, and press start. So what it's doing now is sauteing, and you will hear sizzling. You know, Thermomixes in days gone by didn't sizzle because they didn't go up to high heat. But this one does because it goes up to 160 degrees. And with the TM7, you can select high heat. It's a mode. I haven't explained what a mode is, but can you hear that? I love that sound because when it's doing high heat, it's caramelizing. And that means that you'll get a bit of browning on the bottom of the bowl, but that's okay because that's taste. And so that chicken is moving around in the oil at high heat, caramelizing. And that didn't happen with the previous models, except the 6. It does caramelize with the 6. So we'll leave that happening for another 4 minutes. Remember, I said before, if you want to go out and explore, you press that little arrow. Now, it takes a little while to get to know your screen, where to go, what to do. But I always say to a new customer, open up the dots. You see, look, there's, okay, my apple and cinnamon cake. If I open up those dots or touch the dots, it says cook today. Add it to my week or add it to my shopping list. So there's three choices there that you can, you know, do any of those three things. Anyway, let's go back to home, back to the home screen. Now, just something about the home screen. There's choices in what you would like your home screen to suit your needs. So for me, I like to be organized. So how do you get to choose your home screen? When you go to home, you go right down to the bottom and it says edit home screen. When you touch that, so there's I like inspiration and it will inspire you with new recipes, exciting new recipes. And I've had that for a while. I liked it. But at the moment, I'm sitting in I like organizing myself or I like having my tools handy. Now, you can explore what all of these are, and when your Thermomix, should you choose to go ahead with the Thermomix when it's delivered, we do a full delivery briefing and we go through what all of this means. So, but just for example, I like to organize myself if I go next. So I've got 4 of the tools ready to use, and these are the ones I've chosen. If I say to myself, I don't want fermentation anymore, I've got plenty of yogurt, I'm not going to be making yogurt, I touch the little pencil and I might choose instead egg boiler. So if I pick egg boiler, that's now, oh no, I won't choose that, I've already got it. What if I choose dough? Because I think I'm going to be making some pizzas later over the next few days or some breads. So I've got these tools ready at my, you know, usefulness when I need them. Okay, so, and it also tells me my planned recipes. So I'm making 2 today. I'm making the Chinese style chicken, and I'm doing seared steak and rocket salad as well. Now, it also shows me what recipes I've got bookmarked, what I've recently cooked. Or see that espresso martini. I didn't actually make that. I have made it, but not this time. I was showing it to a customer. But yes, this machine will make beautiful cocktails or mocktails, whatever you prefer. Trending recipes. These are recipes people are making, and I like to see what other people are doing. I want to, maybe consider trying one of those myself. You can go across that way. All these recipes are trending at the moment. Low sugar savvy. Well, that's interesting. It's good. You want to cut down on sugar, you can do that. You can put those in as keywords and get these recipes brought up. Okay, so I think I went here before. We showed the recipes, the collections, and the modes and ingredients, categories, time, portions. Further down the book that's open, you can see recently cooked bookmarks. You will get to, I don't want you to, you can touch your screen to stop that sound. Don't feel overwhelmed with this screen. It's like when you get an iPad or a laptop, you always sit down and look at it and say, what can I do with this? What does that do? Where do I go with it? This is the same. And it doesn't take long before you know how to navigate your machine. All right, remember before I said, how do you get back to your recipe? You go into Open Kitchen, touch the recipe, and then you go next. All right, so it says using tongs, transfer the chicken to the bowl with the vegetables and keep the liquid, the remaining liquid is got to stay in the bowl because that's going to become a sauce. So I will take this off. These are still nice and hot. I'll get some tongs. The chicken smells great. It smells really like caramelized in my bowl. And so what I'm going to do is take the chicken out and place that on top of the vegetables. Yum. Delicious. So good. There's a few little bits of the chicken caramelized, I can see. But you want to keep your liquid in there because the liquid is going to make your sauce. Jeff will be happy when he gets home. He likes this dish. Since we've moved to Victoria, he's taken up bowls and he loves it. I go every now and then, but not all the time like he does. But we do come to Sydney often. I've got a lot of customers up in Sydney, and almost every month we're up there for a week. So I, still am able to come and see customers and do demos if they want me to. All right, so then next it says, so this is how the base of our bowl looks. There's a bit of caramelizing. So what you need to do is get your spatula in. It tells you scrape the base of the mixing bowl well with your spatula to remove caramelization, which is what I'm doing right now. I always take the bowl off to do that because you get a better sort of grip on moving it around. All right, so then we're adding fresh ginger. Nothing like ginger and garlic going into a sauce. So I've got that weighed, 10 grams of ginger, I think I put a bit more, and a little 2 cloves of garlic. So the next step is to chop them. So on goes the lid and press that. That's all. You can hear it chopping. And then you go next. And then you use your spatula, it says, to scrape down the sides. I know this is going to smell incredible. So there's our garlic and ginger. Oh, it smells so good. You just use the spatula and scrape down and move that chopped garlic and ginger down towards the base of the bowl. So a lot of recipes get you to do this, and that's great. So it's all down the bottom now. And so next step is to add a few ingredients that make up the sauce. So the first one is soy sauce, 90 grams. So let's make sure your scales are back to 0 because we did take the bowl off. Now I'm going to pour in soy sauce and endeavor to get to 90. So always slow up as you get towards what you're after. 89. Always stop 1 gram short. Now we need it to be 90 for that little green happening, for it to get ticked off. Now the next one is 80 grams of honey. So I haven't got this weighed out, but I'm going to be very careful with the honey. So in it goes 80 grams. It's on 0. We're up to 30, 50. Oh, it's 80, isn't it? I'm up to 79. All right. So close. Come on. One little dot will be 80. Oh, surely. All right, let's do a little bit more. If we go to 81, it will still, there you are, 80. There it goes. Great. Yum. Then rice wine vinegar as part of the sauce, 40 grams. Oh, gosh. Oh, it screws off. Whoops, it's trying to pull it. Okay, 40 grams. 25, be careful, you don't go over. 39, so close. I keep stopping 1 gram short. 40. And then I've already measured 3 teaspoons of corn flour. That's going to thicken up our sauce. So when it's teaspoons, it won't do that across thing. Or, if it's a powder type measurement. Okay, we're putting on the lid. And pressing that. So those ingredients with the corn flour and the liquid from the chicken are making the most incredible sauce. So that's a sauce that's going to take 2 minutes. And after that, I think our recipe is just about finished. So I'll just give that honey a little wipe. Put the lid on. Now this recipe is garnished with sesame seeds, which I have ready. Just go down that way a bit, and some shallots. So we've got the rice, we've got in here, we've got the chicken, still lovely and hot in there, the chicken and vegetables, the rice, and this is taking just 1 more minute. Okay, so yes, this is the TM7. It may or may not be something you're keen for. I'm going to be popping this into an email. So if you've got this far in the recipe, you've been maybe curious to know about the TM7. I'd love to help you if you're keen to purchase a 7. I can send you a link, and that's how it all happens. Or if you're wanting to see more, I can organise a demo for either here in Victoria, in Melbourne, Victoria, Gisborne is where we live, or when we come up to Sydney. We're coming up, I think it's around the 10th, I think, of October for about a week and a half. So I will definitely be in touch. And if you're keen, I can show you some more of the TM7. But it's amazing. It's lovely. I love it. Needs me to do something. So go next. So it says now to pour the sauce over the chicken. So I'll just show you what's in here. You can see the sauce. Now, I hope that when I take the lid off, you'll be able to see this happening. Now, I think you can. Okay, so the sauce gets poured over the chicken. And this smells just beautiful. Okay, now it's quite thick, so not overly thick. Just look, oh, there's my spatula. You'll need your spatula just to get that last bit of sauce out. And yep, it's a little bit more in there, so I'll just push it down towards the bottom. We want every little bit of sauce to be enjoyed. Don't want to waste anything. All right, that's the sauce. And then the next step is, I'll go next, it says sprinkle with sesame seeds and garnish. So I've got these handy. Beautiful. Sprinkle it over. Now, who would want to have a takeaway meal when you can make food like this? A lot cheaper, a lot more tasty, a lot fresher, a lot healthier, and that feel good that you've made it, which is always a feel good, I think. There on top of that goes some shallots. And this is just a beautiful meal. Very excited. And I can make this at your place. If you'd like me to come, we can do a demo and we can make this. Your guests will be absolutely impressed with a meal like this. There it is. Okay. And then we're going to have that with the rice, the fresh, fluffy rice. Beautiful. All right. So that's about it, except I just want to show you something that's very important that happens while you're enjoying your food. I'm just going to get the very last little bit of sauce out. I don't want to waste any of that. Now, so we have a bowl that needs a clean. There's our bowl. So we're going up into the cooking center and we're going to choose, not that one, we don't need a timer, we need pre-clean. And by the way, I spilt a little bit of sauce on my bowl, on my screen, which is easily cleaned off. The one thing about the TM7, you can still navigate your screen with sticky fingers and wet. It just works well. So I'm going to use pre-clean, and because I used browning, I am going to select that. There's 5 different pre-cleans. So while you're enjoying eating, you can be happy knowing your Thermomix is doing a cleanup. It's not a full clean, it's a pre-clean, but it gets most of the cooking residue off. So I've put a litre of water in there. This bowl holds 2.2 litres, by the way. And I'm going to put in one little squirt of dishwashing liquid. And I'm going to put the lid on. It's ready for a clean. And I'm going to choose browning. And then it's ready to go. And it's going to take 12 minutes, which is fine. So we sit down and eat, and this is in the background doing its cook. Anyway, that's all for this recipe. I've got another one that I will be recording, which is seared steak and rocket salad. It's another favorite of ours, of many, many, many. So anyway, it's been nice. Hopefully you've enjoyed and learnt something from this recording. This recipe, as I said, can be made in the 7 or the 6, and I hope you get to make it and enjoy it. And yeah, look forward to cooking again and hopefully inspiring you to enjoy your Thermomix. Okay, bye for now, and I'll talk again soon. Thanks. Bye.